Filling up the planter here with some fuel, the planter tractor with some fuel, and I'll give you guys a quick tour of the cab here and the monitors that we use while we're planting, since I haven't been able to do that yet. Okay, so first we have what is called a Pro 700, and this basically controls everything the tractor does. This is a precision planting monitor. This is a 2020. This is what actually controls all of the precision parts that are on the planter. This will tell you your population, your singulation, where each seed is being dropped if you're planting double seeds, two together, or missing spaces. It'll tell you where you're doing that. Skips, tells you your speed also. This controls all of the motors. If we turn some rows off, this is what controls that, and the population and things like that. This one back here is more precision planting. This is an air controller, controls some air pressure, and that actually controls those front sweeps, the pressure up and down. So that's all adjustable from the cab here. Up here we have an iPad. This is a program called Field View from Climate. This will, let's see where we are. This is the field my dad just planted. Right now that's showing the population that we planted in the field. So this monitor controls a lot of that precision stuff, and it gathers a bunch of information that we can go back and look at throughout the year and find out what we did where and when and all that good stuff. This is a great tool that we use all year round. So that's some of the basics here in the cab on the planter tractor. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I will answer them the best I can. It's afternoon, just had lunch. Put Lincoln down to bed for a nap. Sam's home today, so she'll take care of him. I'm heading up north in the cat. We've got some ground that is dry now, so we need to disc that instead of using the finisher. With the extra plant matter that's out there, the finisher won't do a good job, so we need a heavier disc to really turn that soil over and get that stuff worked in. So I got to take the finisher off the cat and put the disc on. So I'm heading up north with the cat, and I saw a neighbor that was stuck. He had help there, but I stopped anyway. Just never be too busy to help a neighbor. We've all been stuck or had a car break down or whatever and needed a little help. No matter how busy we are, try and take time and help your neighbors out. They ended up not needing my help, which is fine, but I just stopped anyway to make sure. Alright, we got the disc hooked up. The difference between the disc and the finisher, the disc has just 2 rows of big blades that cut deep and turn the dirt over, and the finisher kind of smooths everything out and lifts dirt and makes it fluffy.
It's all fluffy! Yeah!
This will cut up a lot more stuff. That's why we have it on right now. I'm going down into an area where it was too wet last year and there's a lot of overgrowth, so that's why I have the disc on today, and we'll get her done. Let's go. So this is what I'm working up right now, all this grass. This was too wet to plant last year, so we didn't plant it. And this is what happens when you don't plant or spray. You get a lot of weeds and growth of other things in there. So I'm just tearing it up and get it ready for planting and get rid of all these weeds here. Well, I didn't get that field disc up because interrogator got stuck. This is the machine that fertilizes our ground, so he's in there pretty deep. But we'll hook the cat on and pull it out. Should come right out. All right, let's try and get this guy out. No problem. Those are some pretty good tracks. That's what they call a Terra-gator. Terra-gator. And it spreads fertilizer out the booms there using air, and it's dry pellet form fertilizer. Alright, it's Friday. The new video just got released. You guys can go watch that. I'll put a link up to it right here. Today we're working on the sprayer, getting that ready to go. I've got quite a bit of bean ground to get to and spray. There's a seal on the back of this sprayer that is leaking, so I need to take off the fitting and put a new seal in there. I also need to put the receiver on top. This is a Case 372 receiver. This is what actually gets the signal for our RTK. We need that to use our GPS guidance on the sprayer. So I'll get that installed. The reason it's off is we use that same one on the combine, and we're not obviously using the combine now, so it goes back on the sprayer. No reason to have extras of those laying around, but you do need them to operate. It is of course super windy today, the day when I want to get spraying. Obviously you can't spray in wind like this, otherwise your spray won't go where you want it to. We don't want it to drift and go into other people's ground. You can cause damage that way, or crop damage. And also the reason we're putting it out there is to protect our plants and our crop. And if it's drifting, it's not going where it should be. That's installed, and that sits on top of the cab. Now that seal I need to replace is right here. You can see how that's leaking out of there. Got to take off that fitting and replace that seal. They just wear out over time and you need to replace them. You can see a piece missing on this old one here. There's the new one. Okay, we got that done. You don't want to be leaking hydraulic fluid all over. That's no good. Okay, I got a little cleanup to do. I made a little bit of a mess down here. Got to clean up your tools too. I'm not sure, but I think this is the biggest tool in the shop. My father-in-law might say different, but I think it's this one. when you work on stuff involving oil, you will usually make a mess. So we just do our best to clean it up.
2 hours later.
Dad's out here running the planter. We had an issue where a fuse wasn't making enough contact, so about half of the rows were shut off and they weren't reading. So we got that figured out and fixed. Dad was working all last night till about midnight and it was working fine, and then we come out in the morning and it wasn't working. But we got it fixed and we're running again. We're doing some no-till here today. I'll show you guys what we're going through. Now we're actually not planting right on top of the other rows. We're going right in between those rows, so we're not planting right where the old crop was, we're going in between. So we plant a little differently. We leave some tram lines for the sprayer to go down. Because we're on 20-inch rows, we like that space. It's easier to spray also. It's easy to find out where you need to go. Otherwise, guys will count rows to figure out where you need to be on the sprayer. This way it makes it real easy when you're spraying. So you can see here the sprayer tracks from last year. You can see how there's a space in between where nothing was planted. That's what I mean about tram lines. Alright, I am running the disc on some corn stalks here. And I wanted to explain why I'm running a disc on the corn stalks and not the finisher that I have been running in the past videos. So the disc does deeper tillage like I talked about earlier, and it actually turns the dirt over more. There are small discs on the front of the finisher, but this disc is much bigger and much heavier, and it digs deeper and turns more dirt over. This corn ground, these corn stalks, have not been ripped in the fall like the past fields I've been using the finisher on. The disc will tear it up a lot better and make it not smooth, but it will do what it's supposed to and turn the soil over and get it ready for planting. The finisher would just make a mess here, and there's too much trash for that to go through. It's not deep enough tillage. Now some people might say, why aren't you doing no-till here, where we don't till the ground and we just plant right into the corn stalks? Well, we're a little different than a lot of people.
Your boy's different, Ms. Gump.
We run 20-inch rows, which are 20 inches apart. Obviously, that's what that means. I would say the normal row spacing is 30 inches. After harvest, we have a lot of trash out in the field that we need to get incorporated into the soil so it starts to break down so we can get the nutrients out of it. So that's why we do some tillage in the fall and in the spring, or both. We do have some no-till. Actually, the field Dad's planting of beans right now, we're doing no-till on. So we do some of that, but most of our ground is conventionally tilled. There's many different thoughts on, is tillage the way to go or is no-till the way to go? Like I said in earlier videos, we do what works best on our farm.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I think I will end the video here today. It's been another good day of getting stuff done on Scott Family Farms. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. Make sure you click that like button. It helps the video analytics with the YouTube monster. You gotta feed the monster, you know. Consider subscribing, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.